say to them, but what makes you think that, that they're like that? Oh, well, look at the way they're dressed.
Yes.
And I used to say to him, but what's that got to do with anything?
You should have given him a slap, Jane.
I did.
Good. Even in these politically correct times, I think my mother would have had a little tap at me if I'd come out with something along those lines. You're listening to James O'Brien on LBC 97.3. Society is afraid of female sexuality, says Jan. Well, male society is, Jan. It always wants to curb it, control it and hide it. I think you might have a point. Kate is in Southampton. Kate, what would you like to say?
Hi, James.
Hi, Kate.
I basically just wanted to say I'm a rape survivor, and when it happened to me, it was an acquaintance. It wasn't a stranger that pulled me into a bush in the street.
Yes.
It happened, I was wearing just a T-shirt, jeans and flat shoes, and what I found in the aftermath of what happened to me was that I was very much in a society that taught don't get raped rather than don't rape.
Okay, that's it, isn't it? That's the absolute crux of this conversation. Can you expand a bit on that?
Yeah, sure. Just I didn't report it,
Right.
and
so when you
I
were
went
talking, why didn't? Can I ask why you didn't report it, or is that too?
Yeah, sure. I looked into it, and it was just a case of the sheer number that reached courts was so minuscule, and then the number of the ones that reached courts actually resulted in a conviction.
6.5%.
I was in such a
6.5%. So you have to go through a whole heap of hell. Of course, you know
exactly.
what. I don't need to rehearse the other arguments with you about preventing it from happening to another woman, and you've been through that endlessly in your own mind. But when you talk to your friends about it, you're suggesting that the default position, as it were, or the starting point of any exchange would be that somehow responsibility lies with the victim rather than the rapist.
Completely. And when I went to go and get medical checks and things like that, I had a nurse actually tell me, have you reported it? And I said, no, yes. I don't intend to. And she said, well, you have a duty to get him off the streets and stop raping. And I thought, well, no, he has a duty to not rape. This doesn't come down to my responsibility. Yes,
I mean, that's an even more complicated question, perhaps, but I'm in full support of your position. I completely understand it as well. It is this sense that if you're a victim of any other sort of crime, the idea that you would then have to endure more to achieve satisfactory resolution is strange, and it is, I mean, inevitably it's tied into the nature of the crime, but it's also tied into the social attitude that seems to want to put the responsibility on the woman.
Exactly, and I think with any other crime, if somebody's mugged or if somebody's house is broken into, the automatic thing, if somebody's house is broken into, is, oh my God, that's awful, not did you leave a window open or things like that. Whereas if a woman is raped, and I'd like to bring up the fact that women are not just, we're not the only victims of rape, men are raped, and things like that. And there is an automatic thing of, was she drinking, how much makeup was she wearing, did she have a skirt on, when it's just not relevant, especially as the vast majority of rapists are known to the victim. Yes,
and so the clothing issue increasingly from people who have had, in your case, very, very tragically, have had experience of the issue. The clothing question seems to be something of a red herring. That men like to focus on it, perhaps, more than it matters.
And I think, I have a brother and I have a boyfriend, and I know that they would be hugely insulted to think that people have this idea that all men, at the sight of a short skirt, have these absolutely uncontrollable animalistic instincts. I think it's as insulting to men as it is to women to say that.
Yes. Yes, of course it is, actually. Well, insulting to most men, except, of course, the men that do want license to explore their animalistic instincts, and the women who want to enable them, or who want to kind of accept this warped worldview by deciding that it's a good idea to cover yourself up. And Kate, thank you so much. I'm sure that wasn't easy for you, although it was an incredibly fluent contribution. Myra is in Petworth. Myra, what would you like to say?